it's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder here with an update to the good old Mythic grind. I decided with 10 days left I would actually get Mythic and get that extra juicy one pack. That's the difference between Diamond and Mythic for the prize support. Good old MTG Arena, what a joke. Anyway, I ended up getting 96% Mythic where I was able to calibrate at, which is pretty average at this late in the season. If you do very well between Diamond or Platinum and Diamond, you can actually get a ranked number if you had a good win percentage. But I've seen worse. I've seen people calibrate at like 90% or 89%. So this means we were probably above that regular 50% win percentage while we got to Mythic. Now, I just recorded an entire video series with the wrong window open. So hopefully I can do this properly so you guys can actually see what's going on when I talk about it. So I've actually went 1 and 2 on the last video series. But again, like I said, with recording errors, I'm getting back in the swing of things. We'll do this proper this time. So anyway, how I got to Mythic was a mixture between running the Winota deck and the Champion's Aura deck. They do very, very well. However, they both have glaring holes with their ability. Like, I like Champion's Auras and I like Winota Elves because they have a good Yorion matchup. But if you add up Mono White, Mono Red, and Yorion together, I would say those are like the big three. And then you can mix in the rogues. I would say that having a good matchup versus Yorion is probably not where you want to be if you are giving up matchups against like Mono Red and Mono White. Both Champions Auras and Winota Elves are pretty decent versus Mono White and Mono Red. You can go over the top of them. But the way that they're building the Mono Whites now, I don't even really like Winota Elves versus that matchup or Champions Auras. And Champions Auras is just really terrible versus Mono Red. You don't really have any interaction with what they're doing, and they're going to Embercleave you before you can really get your thing online. They also have the removal with the Bone Crusher Giant and the Frostbite that can keep you back from getting your auras together, and then they Embercleave you. So what I started to try is, well, isn't that Lurrus Aura deck super good versus Mono Red and Mono White? And the answer is yes. It's very, very good versus Mono Red and Mono White. However, there is a pretty glaring hole with the Lurrus deck, the Lurrus Auras deck with the Hateful Eidolon, that it doesn't have, like, you can get some really bad draws, you can just not even, your Lurrus gets taken care of, and then you're pretty much, you're behind. And so I got some inspiration from the Champion's Auras and added this bad boy to the deck, and I think it's the glue that holds the deck together because it gives you another way to draw a lot of cards, to find what you need, and then you can start getting that tempo going. So the card is the Setessan Champion. Setessan Champion has a lot of good synergy with this deck because you have not only Hateful Eidolon it's going to trigger off of, but all the auras that you want to kill your opponent's creatures with are going to trigger off of it, and you also do get a fifth Hateful Eidolon in the form of Chevill, Bane of Monsters. So this card is very, very good with it because it curves nicely with your removal spells, and then you can start to draw cards and gain life, and it's going to dig you for your finisher, which green also provides in the form of Polukranos Unchained. Now this deck does run, as far as the Lurrus Aura deck, they typically do run their finishers to Bolt. I don't like that strategy. You have to go pretty high into getting up to 7 lands by the time you can throw it to Bolt. Bolt can get taken care of. It's not the greatest way to combat the meta. Now, all you need to do in this meta right now is beat Mono Red and Mono White consistently, and you will grind the arena rankings up to Mythic. I promise you that. And this deck is going to get that job done. So the deck tech is just going to be Deadweight and the Mire's Grasp. That's all the removal you need, with Mogis' favor being kind of a flex card that is also going to be very good hookup on your champion or your Polukranos. You can get +2 for 1 mana. That's pretty decent. It's like a Rancor almost. Doesn't get trample, of course. But then the escape is also going to be able to pick off all of those 1 toughness mono white creatures. It's also decent versus some of those 1 toughness like rogue creatures. It also does hook up nicely with, like, in collaboration with Mire's Grasp and Deadweights to kill things with higher than toughness of 3. So this kind of the trinity between the Deadweight, the Mire's Grasp, and Mogis Favors, all you need in this meta for removal. They have very good synergy, of course, with Hateful Eidolon, which says whenever a creature dies with an R on it, you can draw a card. And they all have synergy with Lurrus. They all are under converted mana cost 2 that you can then cast back from the graveyard. The other cards that we're running this deck is going to be the Lurrus Loop, which is Omen of the Dead. Lurrus Loop allows you to cast the Omen of the Dead, get back Lurrus, then cast Omen of the Dead. And if you have another Lurrus in the graveyard, you get that one to your hand, and then they always will have to take care of that kind of the looping combo of the Omen of the Dead and the Lurrus. You can also, what's cool about Omen of the Dead is you can sacrifice for 3 mana to then scry 2 and put that back in the graveyard, and that's how the loop actually occurs. And this actually comes into play quite a bit in this meta. Mono white and mono red, you have to grind them out, and oftentimes it is a grind to finish off the game. So this is going to come in handy versus those. It's also very good versus all those Golgari, not Golgari, but Gruul Adventure type shells where they're either running Temur or they're running Naya for the Clarion Spirit. This is also going to be a grind, and this is going to come in handy very often in those particular matchups. The other key card in this is Aphemia, the Cacophony. I've cut down to 3 of for this because there's not quite as much synergy because we're not running like Tymaret Calls of the Dead. I actually don't like Tymaret Calls of the Dead in the meta. I don't think it does anything versus any deck at the moment. So it's going to be too slow versus Yorion. It's going to be too slow to actually stabilize you versus mono white and mono red, and you don't really need a lot of cards in your graveyard. We're not a huge recursion-based deck. We are running Lurrus. It would be nice to exile some cards with the Cacophony, but it's just not where you want to be, in my opinion. And so this card is good versus Rogues, because Rogues will be filling up your graveyard for you. It's often a 2-for-1, often a 3-for-1, and that's where I like this matchup. So Rogues is the wild card in this kind of rock, paper, scissors meta we have right now, being red beats, mono red beats Yorion, mono white beats mono red, and Yorion actually does struggle versus mono white and Rogues. That's why I'm not too concerned about Yorion, because I think it's just naturally being weeded out in the best of 1. Now this deck can also be beaten best of 3. We'll show that in a second in the sideboard. But finishing off the deck list here, we have a Demonic Embrace. I think this is pretty important. It's pretty good with the Setessan Champion to be able to give evasiveness with the Setessan Champion. This card is going to get reasonably big. It's not going to get massive like it's going to get in our Champions Aura deck, but it's going to get reasonably big, and Demonic Embrace is going to allow us to get there. The other card is going to be the Agadeem's Awakening. This is very good because we do have a 1, a 2, a 3, and yes, even a 4. And so oftentimes you'll just do it for 3 and either get a Lurrus or a Setessan Champion, and then you get 2 of your 2 drops, or 1 drop and 2 drop. If it's a Setessan Champion, you can actually grab the Hateful Eidolon and the Aphemia, the Cacophony, and you're actually drawing 2 cards and getting 2+1/+1 counters on your champion. So your champion comes back in as a 3/5, you draw 2 cards, you're in pretty good shape at that point. If you get back Lurrus and Hateful Eidolon, well, you start having these little loops going on again. The key card in this particular deck, I think, is Polukranos. Polukranos is going to really be the glue with being able to beat those mid-range decks. It's going to be able to. It's a very good dragon killer. It's going to be able to block Lovestruck Beasts. It's going to be able to be cast back from your graveyard often. We do draw a lot of cards, meaning we're going to be hitting land drops. It's not unheard of to get up to 6, 7, 8 lands before we start grinding those matchups out, and this card is super grindy. So I'm loving Polukranos in this deck as a 2 of, very good versus Rogues, decent versus like mono red, mono white, because often it's this big roadblock, blocks Embercleave pretty good, many cards that are hooked up to it, and then you can start shooting down particular creatures for just 3 mana. The mana base is pretty straightforward. Just one of Castle Locthwain. We don't want to go too heavy into the tap lands because we'd have Temple of Malady and Fabled Passage, and we are going to run 5 Swamps, 2 Forests, and the 4 Darkbore Pathways. The sideboard is something that isn't very relevant if you're running this in best of 1. This does need some tuning. Shadowspears are good versus like cycling or anything that draws, puts out tokens, because this is going to be your trample that's going to be able to get your cards through. Super good to hook up to a Polukranos. Lifelink is decently relevant. I do like the Shadowspear versus like Dream Trawler too. You can bring in the Polukranos, and Shadowspear can actually shoot down the Dream Trawler. The Skyclave Shade is just in here for Yorion and Rogues. If you're playing as Yorion, you're going to do a switcheroo strategy, take out a removal, bring in the Skyclave Shades, bring in the Nissa of the Shadowed Boughs, which has some cool synergies with being able to dodge the extinction events, dodge the Shadow's Verdicts, and it also allows you to get back anything that could go to your graveyard. Like then you cast like a Triton, mill cards in your graveyard, then you can get those back and start the looping. Not the greatest card versus Yorion, but unfortunately like double green is tough to get in this matchup. So Questing Beast, Garrick, Vivian, those are hard cards to cast right now in this particular deck with the mana. So Nissa is kind of the best we have for that slot. You could go Liliana. I don't necessarily think Liliana is the greatest card though versus Yorion. because it's just pretty slow. Necromentia, however, is pretty good versus Yorion or any deck that's like running one-trick ponies, like cycling with the Zenith Flares, like the Dream Trawler decks. Necromentia can come in. Elspeth Nightmare is just like a flex card. Any deck that is recurring their graveyard, like cycling, it's pretty good versus cycling. Gets rid of a relevant card, especially if they are in the 3 damage guy, the Pyromancer. So you can kill it, then exile their graveyard. They're very far behind at that point. Destiny Spinner is in here for mainly the rogues and any of the anything that runs I Saw It Coming or any heavy on the counter spells. Destiny Spinner is actually pretty good. It's 2 mana for a 2/3. You don't really care about the other ability, but it actually can be relevant if you've cast enough Mogis' favors and Demonic Embraces. You can actually turn a land typically into like a sort of the Destiny Spinner. It's just how many enchantments you have. It does count as an enchantment. Typically, you can get these up to 3/3/4/4s. Not that bad, but it's really in here. You have it, you draw it. They have to take care of it before they can counter anything. Tymaret Chosen from Death is also going to be your graveyard removal. It's decent versus cycling, and it's decent versus any other Lurrus decks. You can then eat their graveyard and not have to worry about things being recurred. So it's got a pretty decent sideboard. I actually like this deck better than like Champions Ours or Winota as far as being capable of being played in best of 3 because you do have a relevant sideboard. Those other 2 decks I don't think you do. So anyway, that's the deck tech of it. Let's go ahead and look at kind of the matchups for the deck. So I've pulled up the assistant here keeps track of all the games we played. So you can see that we do have a really good matchup versus mono white and the mono red. So mono red is an 87% win percentage. The mono white is a 66% win percentage. I guess it's a little bit lower than that because that white black one probably is a Lurrus version. So we're 1-1 versus the Lurrus version. We're 4-2 versus typical mono white, whether it be just the more on the equipment or more on the life gain. Rogues is 3-2, or I guess if you add in the other ones, it looks like we're 50-50 versus Rogues. So if you take in the 4-color deck down there with the white, blue, black, green, that's probably Rogues. And if you take back the white, blue, black, that's probably Rogues as well that didn't see a Triumph. So we're 4-4 versus Rogues. Like I said, it's pretty even versus Rogues, which is fine. If you can be even versus that matchup, I think it's a very, very playable deck right now in best of 1. Pretty split versus like Teamer Adventures, but you can see we do have that big hole with the Yorion. So it looks like we're 2-4 versus Yorion variants. And whatnot. So cycling though looks like it's the top one there with cycling with 2-0. And I think the next one there that the was a Croxa deck with the white, black, red. And you can see the Nye Adventures. We actually won that matchup as well. So again, this is a pretty solid deck in the meta. You don't have to do anything. I'm sure we just like fold to any sort of Ugin deck, but thankfully mono white and mono red are so good. The Frost, the man land just made that matchup, made Ugin so unplayable right now. If you can animate a 4/3 and attack in, that's all you need to do now versus like Ugin decks, and they can't take care of it, and it's very, very good versus that matchup. So anyway, that is what we have going on with the deck. Let's go ahead and play some matchups here and see if we can grind some Mythic. So let's go ahead and queue it up and see what we can play against. So like I said, we want to see the mono red and the mono white matchups. It does very well versus those. Deadweight is super good. They have a lot of liability cards like the 3/1 Seasoned Hollowblade is just a joke. We don't like to go against anyone running a Jace profile because Jace profile usually means they're going to be control. We don't see a Yorion though. This is going to be a terrible hand versus any sort of mid-range deck, but it's going to be super, super, super duper good deck versus any sort of okay, we're going against let's just go ahead and kill it. I think we'll go, no, because I wanted a green source. Yeah, we'll go here. So we're going to pay 3 life, and we'll go ahead and deadweight it. They do get a draw card off this, though, I believe. Kapow. So it's Mire. No, it does not, because it says other? What doesn't it trigger off this? Whenever an enchanted creature dies, draw a card for each R you controlled. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So now I think that we can just, I think that just running out this Cacophony is pretty good. And we will get rid of the deadweight. I'm okay with that. We want to get like advantage off of Chevill. Possibly we should have killed it. So our opponent did have the first turn Hateful Eidolon. Doesn't look like they have anything else though. I think we can put it out. We can put out a black again. We can get the green with the Fabled Passage. Now let's go green, and we'll go Chevill. So we'll go ahead and go to attack phase. Get in for some damage. I haven't actually played this against a Mire. I think we should be ahead because we have a lot more card draw. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe we have like less, and therefore like less just streamlined, and therefore we are not as good. So let's see, like a Mire's Grass goes on a Chevill. That's fine. So it looks like a Deadweight's going to go on a Aphemia. We're going to get a card draw off of the Chevill, though. Yeah, it looks like Deadweight on, but that's fine. Do I care about getting it back with an Omen? I think we will. I'll get it back. It's fine. It's a 2/1 flyer. And we get a card off of this. I'm going to go ahead and thin out. We could go get another green. We have a Darkbore, though, so for Polukranos, let's go get a Swamp. It's Mire's Grasp here. It will draw us a card and draw us a life. And I think just, yeah, exiling a Mire's Grasp is fine because we have another one. So we have another 2/2. We are really grinding out our opponent. It might be pretty hard. If they need to find like some sort of, I wonder if our opponent does run some removal, like a board wipe. That could be something we had to worry about. But all in all, I think we are pretty decent for this. Another call the Death Dweller. That's getting pretty lucky. We do have the Mire's Grass though. So opponent needs a Mire's Grass the Chevill to draw a card. They need to find a Lurrus as well. Yep. That's obnoxious. But we have Awakening that can actually do it. Hopefully we can mill some more cards. I'm actually going to put this on green just for a Polukranos. Let's actually see what we get with a Triton. I don't know if that's going to change our mind on any cards here. Hopefully we can get something. There's another Mire's Grass. Perfect. So we'll Mire's Grass the Hateful Eidolon, kill it for the 3rd time, and get in there for some more damage, and we'll make another 2/2. So they need a Lurrus like ASAP, and we do have another Grasp we can get rid of, because they're staring down lethal next turn. Haven't found a Lurrus. 2 Call of the Death Dwellers are gone. See if they have their 3rd. Looks like they're just targeting the Mogis' favor. Okay, that's fine. They don't get to draw a card off of it, and they're going to exile some cards in the graveyard and kill the Triton, go down to a 2, is what it looks like. Oh, a Deadweight over the Mogis' favor. That's interesting. They probably should have exiled and killed one of these with the Deadweight. Murderous Rider. So we do draw the win. Not quite the win. So let's grasp it. Yeah. We'll be able to scry the Omen. Let's go ahead and do it. I actually want some information. So let's go ahead and scry this to see if we want to play the Agadeems. Agadeems, we'll scry both those to the bottom. We'll keep this Agadeems up for getting back creatures. Opponent's down to no cards. They really have to draw something. So, I mean, this is a pretty 50-50 matchup. I do like our ability to be able to outdraw our opponent, though. Like the call, I thought about running calls in this deck, but, I mean, Champion's just going to draw cards as well. I think it's a little bit better, and we can rely on the Agadeem's Awakenings and the Omens. I particularly like Omens better than the calls. So there we have it. We have our win here and grind a little bit here for the Mire. We'll go on to the next game. And see if we can get against that mono-white matchup. Typically, I never get to see the matchups that I want to showcase when I record videos, so I don't like this Dovin. Again, control players tend to play control cards, or control avatars, so we'll just put the Agadeems to play tapped. Possibly that's like a bad play, but we have an extra one in hand. I don't see us casting 2. Okay, so this is going to be a good old... Yeah, this can be a good old... We'll head with the Triton first. So I don't like Mogis' favor on Fireblade because then we take 2 damage. We mill 2 lands, which is fine. Like, I kind of want more lands, kind of don't. We wanted to mill a... Yeah, I typically just like to make this trade. I want to keep him off Embercleave. And a Rimrock can be Mogis. That's a good Mogis target. So put this one as a green, and then we'll Mogis on the Rimrock, and then we will actually get rid of the Mogis' favor here. Get a 2/2. Now we're in pretty good shape versus mono red. We've taken care of 2 cards. Rolling Vortex is not that great versus us. I mean, we can't gain life, which is fine. Agadeem's Awakening into play tapped again. Unfortunately, we're getting kind of flooded, and we didn't mill anything either. Probably just they're going to kill the Aphemia, the Cacophony. Oh, they actually have to pay life for me not to gain life. So we could actually get some life here off like a Lurrus. We have double Mire's Grasp. So actually, that will happen this turn. We will double Mire's Grasp. That's annoying a Torbran for sure. So you have to use 2 here, but it's kind of a win. I kind of want to keep the Agadeems here, because then we can draw a land and it gets back a 2-drop. That Rolling Vortex is doing work for us. Unfortunately, though, I'm kind of stuck with being able to now get into my opponent. The dragon's okay. Opponent's going to race, I guess. I might die to an Embercleave. Fireblade Charger. Not the worst thing that can happen. Lurrus is kind of good. Do we have a deadweight or anything? We don't, but we can get back I can pay 3 life and get back a card. So we're actually going to attack with everything here. See if the opponent blocks and then kills. And we can cast the other one again. Or just actually get back into Aphemia the Cacophony. Huh. There's a couple things we can do. So I think I do want to go pay 3 lives. So I wish I'd have played that last turn, because I could lose to an Embercleave here. That's just going to suck if that's the case. So we go Lurrus. And then I think I'm actually going to... Yeah, there's my grass in the graveyard. So I think I'm just going to go like this one. And then we'll get rid of a Mire's Grasp. My opponent has to kill us this turn, so it has to be an Embercleave in hand. Or draw one. Just Torbran, huh? Torbran. So we can just go here. And then we get through with lethal. Yep. So we just take 2. Opponent can only block 1. So we take 3 here. And kind of weird attack with the Fervent Champ. Kind of weird attack all around. These mono red players are so bad. They just they can't help themselves but attack. Just attack, 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 attack. Should have kept back both blockers. I can't really attack in favorably. Yeah. Had the Torbran and the Rolling Vortex. I don't even know if I could have pushed through enough. Oh boy, gets a Mythic by turning her card sideways. What a great format. Yeah, that was a pretty... you go up so many matchups with that, they just can't help themselves. It's just turn... No, must not turn card sideways. Can mono white / mono red play defensively? Nope. No chance. All right, let's go ahead. There's our first versus mono red. That felt pretty good. We didn't get a Lurrus until late. We didn't get a Hateful Eidolon. So Rolling Vortex is kind of weird main. Like their matchup's already super good versus Yorion. So I get they bring in it from the sideboard just put the icing on the cake. Typically it's like when your opponent sides in it, Yorion will have even more control in the sideboard, so like side out ramp for more control versus mono red. And that's where you bring those in, because then those are some like it stops them from doing the combo typically because they're going to take too much damage by doing the combo. Plus, it's going to tax him each turn. I guess we'll wait for our opponent. I think we're after. Oh, there we go. Like ready to restart. Hey, we get a. Whoop. Whoop, whoop. You gonna give us anything here? It looks like they. Oh, draw. There we go. Drawed us out. Great arena. Now we. Are we stuck here? Waiting for the server? Alright, let's go on to the next match. See if we can hit a rogues matchup and a mono white matchup to show you how they play out. Mono white and mono red can still beat you too. I think that's the kind of problem with the meta right now. There's mono white, perfect. And we do have a Hateful Eidolon first turn. Yep, we do want to play it. Typically, I'll play the Temple. If we had a deadweight here, I'd play a Temple. We have the Grasp. This is going to make it kind of weird with the Alisade if opponent actually keeps out a 1 mana spell here. Giant Killer. Yeah, that's kind of awkward. Do we want him to tap out? Does he go Temple of Malady and pass? Yeah, I think I'm just going to pass here. I want him to tap out for something so I can actually get the Mire's Grasp down. Deadweight is awesome. We absolutely do want Deadweight next turn. So if it's a Skyclave or Maul, the Skyclave's fine. Awesome, awesome. That's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Kind of bad play by opponent, I would say, because they needed to keep up the mana. Now we just get tons of value. So this wants to be a black. We get Mire's Grasp on the Alisade. Can't sack it. And we even get a Deadweight on the Giant Killer. And now our opponent is going to be playing way behind. With icing on the cake there, we have a Lurrus coming up. Pow. So there we go. We have a Fabled Passage even coming up. Don't have to use the Agadeem's Awakening. 18 to 22. Opponent's down 2 cards. We're up resources. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they scoop it up. Linden's going to be okay. So we can go Fabled Passage. And there's Polukranos, I would assume. They can go Skyclave, sure. But like Deadweight on a Linden seems kind of bad. I kind of want another green source. We can get it with our other Fabled Passage. But Polyu is going to get us there. This is going to be tough. They have to hook over the Maul over to Linden. And then we can just shoot it down. And I'm okay with that even. We can even No, we don't have a Deadweight. We don't know if we have a Deadweight coming up. Luminarch actually puts it a 4/4. I think they would have preferred a land, though. Because this allows us now... We can go get a black source now. Do a Lurrus Deadweight, and I might prefer that better than just shooting down a... Yeah, I think I do prefer that. I prefer this play. Lurrus Deadweight. Yes, our opponent can still draw a Maul, but we can still make the trade. And I don't think we want to attack in. Is there any reason they attack? Yeah, we'll just keep it back. Force them to, like, equip the Maul over to find something. Another Agadeem's Awakening's fine. But I think we just controlled out our opponent with Lurrus and Hateful. Daxos, again, it's kind of a weird card. Are they obviously they want to land. So... let's see what we want to do. Play another one of these. I think we can just go... Let's just go Deadweight. This is what we're going to do. We're going to fight this guy down. Oh, I should have done it the other way around, but... You get a draw or gain a life, and now we can Mire's Grasp on the Daxos. Wouldn't be surprised for a scoop now. Wouldn't blame my opponent for a scoop. Good thing about this thing too is we just have lifelink that's like naturally on these stupid cards. And there's the scoop. I mean, that's very very common with mono white. That wasn't a terrible draw. They had a Daxos, a Sky, a Malclave, a Giant Killer. Yeah, that was a pretty decent draw. So we were grinding up from 95% to 97, and we got some good wins off of here. Okay, we're playing against a ranked person. See if we got a great hand here. Yep, this is a good hand. So this is the typical one. We are going against Yorion, though. I think it's fine versus Yorion because we have Polukranos and Setessan. So, yeah, we will go Hateful Eidolon and then attack in the following turn. Go like Hateful, Fabled Passage for a green, then Agadeems for a Setessan. We can deadweight our own Setessan. And maybe get in here for the Polukranos. This is probably going to be a loss. This is a very, very, very tough matchup. But like I said, you just drop this one and move on to the other. Ooh, nah, this is still better. But this actually, with a white source, this might be just control, which is even a worse matchup, to be honest, because we have no chance to. Like Glass Casket on the Hateful Eidolon. Nope, just Revitalize, huh? Interesting. So, no point to... Let's go get a green source. Attacking for 1. I could draw a card off the Hateful Eidolon if I wanted to, but you never know if this is going to be, flashing in creatures. This looks like just a typical... Actually, I have not a clue what this Yorion build is with the Revitalizes. I'm assuming just to gain life to get there. Yeah, it's probably going to be control. So Doomscar's not coming out next turn. I think Setessan Champion is the best card, because we hook it up to a Demonic Embrace, but we're super slow here. Yeah, no Doomscar. Where are Skyclaves in this deck? Because Yorion can search for Glory. So search for Glory goes and gets a legendary card or a snow permanent. Just gonna go get a Sinkhole. So they actually are in another color, huh? So this is where we're just going to go crazy with. I think I'd rather go Demonic Embrace. So let's go ahead and just do that first. And yep, that gives us a Fabled Passage. Fabled Passage, go get another green source, I think. I mean, it's 6s. Agadeem's Awakening. Yeah, we'll get the other green source, I believe. Possibly I should have done like Omen, flash it in. So I'm thinking a Doomscar's coming down here. Put us down to 21. Extinction Event, even worse. Because I do not get the card off of it. So now we can go, what is in our graveyard? Nothing really. I think it's just Poly-U comes down, and we'll go ahead and... Paying 3 life is fine here, because then we can Omen at the end of turn if we need to get Poly back. Demonic Embrace is going to be good to hook up to Poly. Okay, that's a Doomscar. Alright, let's go in. Just going to hold up everything. Cacophony can actually exile that. We'll go Chevill. What does Lurrus have to actually get? Huh. I think this is the weakest link. I don't want to like spread too much because I'm pretty certain the Doomscar is coming out. So we'll just put this one with it. I probably should go on Chevill. Elspeth's Nightmare, huh? Sure. Now is it worth it just to Omen? Sure, we'll do it. I don't like the Triton. Really? No Doomscar? I think... Let's just... Got a good play here. This should bait out the Doomscar. Get rid of the Deadweight. And then... Attack in. That's got to be a Doomscar. So, do I even play the let's see, our opponent's going to get rid of nothing in our graveyard. Triton's kind of awkward. Chevill, I'm just going to put a Chevill out. Force out, like, another, like, it's, Aphemia can now take over the game. Have nothing in my library they can grab. This has got to be a Doomscar. So we were close. You can see how this deck can be aggressive. We also had to fight 2 Revitalizes, so that's 6 damage right there. So I'm not too concerned with losing this match. We did. Maybe should have put the Demonic Embrace on the Polukranos the turn earlier. I mean, that did bait off the Elspeth Nightmare, though. Elspeth conquers death. So, Demonic Embrace gets our opponent down to a 4. Do I need this land? Do I need this Mire Triton? Yeah, our opponent going to do a Doomscar the following turn. Well, let's go ahead and do this. What is the card? I think Triton in the graveyard is the card, and I want to hit land drops still, because that gives us some decent outs here. This would require... I feel like our opponent's still keeping up the... This is probably still better, though. Because, I mean, it's going to get exiled anyway. This requires the Doomscar to come off. Doomscar, we can then go Lurrus and get back a creature. That is a Doomscar. I can't think of what this card could be besides, yeah, putting a good job holding it back until the last second, which is fine. Lurrus Omen is kind of a cool little card as well to go Lurrus Omen. Oh, that hurts. Agonizing Remorse down to a 1. And we draw one of the worst cards possible with the Demonic Embrace number 2. So possibly shouldn't have cast that at Aphemia and milled. But it is what it is. 1 life, 2 Revitalizes. There's Kiora. Or Kaya, not Kiora. Hateful Eidolon. Lurrus is much better here than the Eidolon. And now I can go Lurrus. And then we can go Omen. Yeah, Omen's even better. And then get... yeah. This will require another removal. Because now we'll get rid of the Demonic Embrace. Get another 2/2. See if our opponent can come back from this. Exile one of them with Kaya. Four cards left in hand as a Faceless Haven. Nightmare. Okay, Elspeth Nightmare. On Aphemia, I would assume. And then exile Kaya on Lurrus. And I'm not sure, like, I think this actually gets us out of it. So I'm casting this because this gets around an Omen and it gets around a Revitalize. So might as well cast it and see if it actually gets there. So Omen doesn't get our opponent back. That's obnoxious. That one does. But we can Mire's Grasp this before any nonsense happens to it. And down to a 1. Huh? And Elspeth Nightmare is going to back the Demonic Embrace. I wonder if we scry here. Opponent's going to start getting in with Faceless Havens, huh? Giving it a ghost form. So close. Had to be a Sigrid. Had to be double revitalizes too. Yikes. Almost want to put Faceless Haven in this deck and then just go to Snowlands. But then it'd require like some weird tweaking. I think we couldn't go as many. Well, I should have scryed. And I'll do it at the end of the turn. We have a dead weight. That sucks. We just die here, double Faceless Havens. This is what's so... This card was bonkers good because it's not only... Not only... Our aggro that gets bonkers with this. It gets like these tempo control decks. They go bonkers with these Faithless Havens as well. Opponent's now down to up to a 6 with Elspeth gaining some life. That is getting close to being triggered up. We will go ahead and exile, or go ahead and Agonize and Remorse on the Deadway. That's fine. Go down to a 5 for that. Go ahead and scry, but we have no way really to... nothing in our graveyard for Agadeem, so both these can go to the bin. We do get a Setessan's Champion. Do we just... I think I'm going to pass a turn with the Setessan's and hopefully draw. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I think we've just lost this, so I'm going to scoop it up. There's no way we're out of it, but opponent did... They did need everything there to stabilize. But it's probably... That's probably a bad matchup for us. There's our first loss in a few games. See if we can get the Rogues matchup. I want to showcase that one, how it works. It is tough, though. Spoiler alert. Okay, so... Not the greatest hand, but not a terrible hand. Going against Lurrus, well, probably Rogues, so... Could be cycling, could be Rogues. The decent oh man, we're slow. Boom, boom. That's Rogues. So boom, boom. Or boom, boom. Well, I guess boom, boom, I guess. And then we get Chevill out. I want lands for sure. Oh crap, that one's actually coming slow. Hopefully they mill that. They indeed do. So land coming down. Two things we don't care about. Cool. In the graveyard. We'll get Chevill out this turn. But I might just be too slow to deal with Rogues. Especially if they flash out a Rogue here. Yeah, there's a Thief's-Guild. Ugh. Thief's-Guild Enforcer. Oh, it does mill the Mires. We do have a Lurrus. We do have all these tap lands, though. I guess I can go Agadeem's next turn and then go Setessan. Oh, got both my... I could have traded there, I guess. Perfect. Deadweight's actually awesome. Yeah, because that allows for a Temple. Let's actually do this first. Kapow, we get a draw card and gain through life. That's relevant. Opponent doesn't have any sort of... Ooh, that is interesting just to go Hateful Eidolon. But I think we want an Agadeem's. And I don't... Yeah, they can mill that. That's fine with me. And they want to trade, I'll trade. I will trade here with another flasher. Okay. Cool. We get in for 1 damage. Feel in pretty good shape. It's tough when they have that first or second turn Ruin Crab. Ooh, double land. I think we just slam Polukranos. Oh, no. We will actually... We'll go Setessan Champion, Hateful Eidolon. I think that's better than slamming Polukranos. So, Setessan. Yeah, I don't want to go Lurrus here at all. This should get countered. Or killed. One of the two. 4 cards still in my opponent's hand, though. They do have Into the Story that's going to be rough to deal with. There's a Mire's Grasp. Again, I will make a trade with Chevill at this point. Anything they flash in, I'm fine with just trading. They do not. So worst case scenario is Into the Story here. Yeah, it's so rough. That's too many cards. I hate this card. You need to tone it down with the card draw. Too much card draw. Too easy to enable. There's so many cards right now in Standard that are just bonkers with the ability to draw. So, I think you'd always have to spend more than 4 mana to draw 4 cards. Deadweight on the champion. Crippling Fear. Setessan's Mire's Grasp? That's fine. I don't want to use the Agadeem's Awakening, though. Lurrus Mire's Grasp could work too, or Mire's Grasp would work too. Well, let's do this. I hate to do it. I really wanted this as another reanimation spell, but I think we go Setessan Champion, Mire's Grasp. Almost said Mire Triton. That would have been awful. So we're keeping up card advantage. Fortunately, we're drawing the Mire Triton. So I don't think any of them got milled. And it's the one did. And it's the bad card. One Ruin Crab milled us 20 cards too, which is crazy. Or almost 20 cards. So Setessan Champion has to get drowned. Opponent still has 5 cards. Probably going to Lurrus. Love to draw. We can actually Lurrus here as well. What if we bait off some removal spells here with like a Polukranos? Lurrus is kind of cool though. Yeah, let's bait off some removal spells. We can start casting Lurrus or Polukranos every turn too. This also allows us a Mire Triton. Not the happiest with this card, but is what it is. Worst case scenario is another Into the Story. Worst case scenario is drawing more Tritons. Ugh. Middle land. And a Hateful Eidolon. Jeez. Really, really wish that Wizards would just create a way to shuffle our library back into our graveyard back in our library too. This is just ridiculous with how efficient Rogues is. Like if they're gonna make a hyper aggressive format, which they have, they need to create ample life gain, which they have. If they're gonna create a mill strategy, they need to create cards that actually interact with your own graveyard of shuffling it back in. And this is like the first Standard in a long time we've even had like a blue spell or a green spell that just shuffles everything back in. And they could still combat it, like Rogue steals combat it by running graveyard removal. But look how many cards they have too. It's just double Into the Story. That's 8 cards. Or a card advantage of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are the 2 Into the Stories there. Cast Lurrus and cast Hedron Crab? No, just going to discard a card. So they have things they can... Let's see. Still another land. I'm okay with land drops here. Let's go ahead and tag into both. I don't care about the Thieves Guild Enforcer. Gets 2 Fabled Passages. That's fine. Polukranos gets around the Death Touch. We'll go Lure. Oh, jeez. Almost don't feel like running out of Lurrus, but we have to. If it gets countered, it gets countered. Nothing we can do about it. It does not. That's pretty good then. So Omen is super good here. Omen getting back another card. We do want to play... Almost feel this like a... Yeah, Omen's super, super good. Omen getting back a Lurrus and not casting it. Don't I have a Lurrus in the graveyard? I should. Yep. And now I have a backup Lurrus. And we wanted this anyway for Polukranos because if our opponent flashes, we want to kill Lurrus with Polukranos. But still, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra cards. That basically is the companion and Into the Stories card advantage here, with very little resources that have to be pumped into it. So Lurrus, yeah, we expected that. And then our opponent only has one more black source, though. So what if they go Hedron Crab, Deadweight, and then now we'll just kill the Lurrus. That was nice of them, though. I mean, we did the right thing with another Lurrus. We can cast Lurrus. Fabled Passage. Why did they do... Okay, because they can't do the Ruin Crab here. Get another black source. I think we're just going to be too far behind. I almost want a Polukranos. I actually do think Polukranos is the play. Most likely to get countered. They still have ample Drown the Locks. So, yeah, any Drown the Lock there works. Or a third Into the Story works. It's always fair. So 9 card advantage off of Into the Stories. And now I believe we're going to get milled. Two Thief Guild still. 2 more Ruins Crabs. Yeah, Agadeem's is rough too. Another Fabled Passage. Had the last Fabled Passage? It is not. There's still plenty of Fabled Passage. And crack it. Ay, ay, ay. And they need to Drown the Lock. We're down to 14 cards. 11. They go Drown, I think it's over. They should have a Drown. They've only used 1. Then you kill both the Ruin Crabs. With Polukranos. We have Lurrus that can kill Lurrus. Oh, I just have Demonic Embrace. If they don't kill Polukranos, we can just Demonic Embrace. We just win. We just win. Opponent messed up. We just go like this. They can't flash anything in. I believe this is just a win. And then attacking Polukranos. Wow. Okay. That actually did it. The Demonic Embrace on Polukranos. I don't know what my opponent had left in their hand, but that was just a nail biter. But you can see, pretty cool deck. It can beat rogues. It's 50-50. Like, that was... I'm very surprised we were able to take that rogues down, because you have to avoid, like, an Into the Story. You have to put enough pressure on them that they have to cast an Into the Story at an inopportune time, that then you can get, like, a board state, and then you can push through them regardless of them having a lot of, like, mana and cards. Otherwise, like, if they can just freely cast Into the Story without a board state, they're going to get too much card advantage. So I don't know if my opponent just misplayed that. If they had any removal spell, they should have just thrown it on. Maybe that all Heartless Axe and not that. I think they already cast 2 Drown the Locks. But regardless, though, Demonic Embrace off on 12-12 Polukranos can get the job done. So there you have it. So anyway, that's all we have for this one. It's a great deck to grind. What we grind up, 2% that time? So in a session, this one should get you ranked in Mythic as well. I'm expecting to go up against a lot of mono whites and mono reds as I get even higher up. They're still very good versus rogues and Yorion, so I wouldn't fault you for running mono white to have basically a decent matchup versus everything, and then have a really good matchup versus mono red, or same thing in mono red to have a very good matchup versus everything but mono white. And I'm expecting to be facing those two consistently when you get up into the higher echelons of the ranks. Anyway, this is McKevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.